Okay.
How many folks are we expecting?
As of yesterday, there were 18 registered, but we've resent the invitation like a couple times, so I can check.
All right. I think we're at 14 now, and we're almost about a minute away from starting. So why don't we just start in about a minute and stick to our schedule.
Perfect.
Okay, I've got 9:30, so why don't we get started? My name is Professor Werwath. I'm the director of the MEM program. I want to welcome all the newly admitted students for fiscal year 22-23, which starts in September. I'm going to be going through some information of interest to incoming students, how to prepare for the fall, what you should be doing and expecting over the summer, and some of the steps that are needed to help ensure success. I'm going to mute you. Okay, please mute yourself if you can, so we can avoid background noise. If you can hold on to your questions till the end, we will certainly answer them. I've got Mandy Hatfield with me. I've got Jenny from the MEM office to help answer your questions. Feel free to chat, add some chat questions if you have them, if they're urgent. Otherwise, we'll try to answer them at the end. I hope this is a pretty comprehensive presentation, but it shouldn't take more than an hour, hopefully less. So this is the staff. Abby Shea is our Senior Associate Director, and Mandy Hatfield is our Associate Director. You'll be seeing both of them throughout the course of the program. We also have Jenny and Miriam, who are program assistants. They're probably going to help you on a more day-to-day basis with such things as registration, tuition payments, etc. So those are the sorts of things they'll be taking care of. Right now, of course, we're focused a little bit on graduation for the current batch of students, some of which will be graduating in December, many of which are graduating here in June. So all of those mechanics, all of those processes are managed within the MEM staff. And we're here to service you and to meet your needs, but at the same time, it is up to you to fulfill your side of the equation by basically following the processes and the steps and the surveys, et cetera, that we send out to you. So as students, please keep an eye out on your email. Also keep an eye out for Canvas. Canvas is our LMS, what's known as a learning management system. And an LMS basically provides ongoing information, everything you need to know about the program and about each course you take in the program. So you'll have an LMS site for every course you sign up for. We'll get into that in a few moments. My background is mostly from companies like Motorola and Northrop Grumman and a place called WMS Gaming, where I built program management offices. I was always focused on new product development, always working with and having product managers as well as project managers working for me. But that was my past. My current day responsibilities as MEM director is to focus on accepting only the best students, keeping the curriculum current and relevant, networking the students, you guys, to the community of seasoned professionals, which I take very seriously. There's a lot of opportunities within Chicago, the Midwest, and within the nation. And I've got a great network. In fact, MEM has a great network that we can leverage for you to help connect you up with those opportunities. You guys can please mute yourselves as you join. I think I'm hearing some background noise here. Okay, sounds good. Lastly, my job is to stretch all students beyond their comfort zone. So whatever your comfort zone has become, what's evolved to, my job is to stretch you beyond that, because frankly, that's what leadership is all about, is going outside of your comfort zone and leading where others follow. So my job is ultimately to develop the next generation of technology and engineering leaders. So why are you here? Obviously, because the master's degree has significant value in the job market. A degree from Northwestern is well recognized. We have 17 more than 17,000 members of the alumni network across 160 countries around the world. MEM alone has over almost 1,000 alum in our network on LinkedIn. We can help provide direct introductions to leaders in technology and business. We will help deliver skills, and you will develop those skills that you can put to use tomorrow in many cases that are needed in an ever evolving, technologically oriented workplace. You're here for the reputation and the association with NU, which you help develop and you help promote. So remember, you are a product of Northwestern, or you will be when all is said and done and you've graduated from the program. So your reputation becomes linked with NU. And also remember, you are students of McCormick. You're not students of Kellogg. You're not students of any other school at Northwestern. So we don't expect you, and we don't want you to be advertising yourself as anything but a McCormick student. We want you to be proud of McCormick. Frankly, engineering is a very exclusive field. You've achieved that both in your undergrad and now in your grad studies. So be proud of your engineering heritage. We're here to develop the pie-shaped or T-shaped engineer, right? By that, I mean you all have a deep vertical expertise in one area, usually aligned with one of the STEM disciplines. Our job is to give you a horizontal, right? That horizontal would be the management and business side, understanding the totality of business and the kind of the large scope that business entails, systems thinking, if you will, systems thinking associated with business. And for those who choose, that second vertical could be analytics. That second vertical could be something very specific like healthcare systems. It's here, we're here to help support whatever your choice is in that area. We want to develop you again as that next generation of technical leadership. And without that horizontal, you have not really earned a place at the table. And I'm sure you know what I mean when I say that as engineers, we often are excluded from that table discussion, in some cases simply because we don't have the language of business at our fingertips. So hopefully we will infuse you with that language of business and it'll become second nature to you. What are the expectations, right? So this is kind of where the rubber hits the road here. So we expect all admitted students to attend and complete a summer online course on probability and statistics. It will start, I believe it's the second or third week of June. You'll be seeing it on your Canvas site. Your Canvas site can be accessed through your NetID and password. If you don't have any of these things, or if you don't know what I'm talking about, please look at your emails or contact Mandy and the staff, and they'll help you get through that. But a Canvas site will be set up for probability and statistics. It will be taught by an expert IEMS faculty, Bruce Ankerman. It'll be held online, asynchronous, and free of charge. So you don't have to worry about paying for this, but we do want you and need you to complete it so that you can be prepared for what we call 407, which is a course fundamentally in decision making and in what otherwise would be known as operations research. In addition to this, we have various modules in Canvas, and we'll go through those in a few moments. But those modules effectively are a series of steps that you need to follow, not difficult steps, and certainly not terribly academic per se, but a lot of it is logistical and a lot of it is administrative. So we need you to fill out certain forms, take certain surveys, and get certain paperwork completed before you can start your classes in the fall. We want you to take advantage of the various courses available on DataCamp this summer. And I'll show you what some of those might be and what the recommendations are for you. Those are also available to you free of charge. We will provide you with credentials to access DataCamp. DataCamp is online, asynchronous, and very specific to such tools as Python, right? Or data visualization through Tableau and things like that, that frankly are relatively generic kind of skills and tools that we don't necessarily cover in class, but we often will assume you have some of those skills, especially if you're in an analytics-oriented course. We also expect you, before the classes start in the fall, to be very familiar with the syllabus, the expectations of your faculty, the professors teaching your course, as well as purchase your textbooks and casebooks prior to the start of class, and to complete those initial assignments so that you hit the ground running on day one and you won't find yourself behind from the beginning. Suggestions. These aren't necessarily expectations, but these are suggestions, right? We suggest you start your networking with employers if you're interested in getting a job, either as an intern or a full-time job when you graduate. You should actually start your networking now. And the reason for that is you actually have, in many cases, you're currently employed, you're working. So coming from that perspective, being an employee of a company gives you certain credibility with certain employers. So start those discussions now, maybe even set up some meetings online or what have you before arriving in the US. I would definitely expect you to learn to use LinkedIn and to develop your LinkedIn profiles before you arrive in the US. And seriously consider joining the MEM LinkedIn group, where some announcements are made. Those are often focused on alum, but I think you'll see some chatter and you'll get to meet some folks that are associated with MEM, mostly alum from our past. We've been around for something like 45 years. So we've got a great deal of deep bench strength, if you will, in alumni across the country. I would definitely start looking for housing arrangements early. I think you'll find that housing, there's a lot of variety, if you will, and there's also a lot of different locations you should consider. Keep in mind travel distances, proximity to bus and train routes. We do have free bus service from Northwestern. You should be aware of those routes and where they are located so that you can find housing that can access those routes. Make sure you have enough funds secured. I know a lot of students who come with slightly short funds, and as a result, they get very distracted with earning money while in the US. I will go through later in this presentation some ways to make some money while you're here. But if you're totally distracted with that, it'll be very difficult to find a new position and keep up with your studies. I definitely recommend you come with enough funds and with enough, proper equipment. So in particular, a good laptop. We generally recommend, Windows, because Windows supports a lot of the technology, especially these add-ins that we use within Excel and other statistical tools that seem to be native to Windows. Look for project opportunities, share them with your fellow classmates, right? Collaborate with your classmates at all levels. If you look out for each other, then quite likely somebody will be looking out for you. I'd like to say that you're not so much competing with your classmates, right? Think of them as collaborators. They all have different backgrounds, different experiences, different amount of experience, different industries. And in that sense, the likelihood that any two MEM students are competing with each other for a specific job is very low. So treat each other as comrades, as colleagues that you can share opportunities with, and let them know about where you see opportunity that maybe they've missed. If I were you, I would also scan some of the videos on the MEM YouTube channel. Some folks don't know that we have one. Northwestern MEM is the name of it, and it's got a significant number of videos with a wide variety of content, including content from different speakers in the past, different faculty. You'll get a sense of the program and some of the topics and maybe help you make some choices about what courses you want to take. I'm going to basically stop at this point and kind of switch over to the Canvas site. Let me go to the home page on the Canvas site. I don't know if Jenny or Miriam want to go through some of this, but basically this is how we've laid out the expectations and the deliverables that you need to go through. Does anyone want to walk through this, Jenny?
Yeah, I can. So on the homepage here, if you scroll down, you'll see that we have our modules set up with their due dates. We expect that every student will complete each module by its given due date, because each one will have important information either that you need or that we need to collect before the date that it's due. So if you, Mark, want to go over to the module section on the left-hand side. The first two are primarily just information and resources for getting started at Northwestern. A lot of your questions are going to be answered here, so highly recommend you walk through everything carefully. We have everything from professionalism to specific information for international students. We have online resources, career resources, any student groups you can join, and also things that you can do in Evanston and Chicago. So highly recommend looking through everything here. And again, it's required. Then for pre-orientation prep, these are all of the documents or information that we need to collect in order to prepare you for orientation. So again, this is required because in order to get you set up for orientation, we need all of this information. And then below that, we have the required documents and paperwork to get you set up as a student. Finally, our course planning section is entirely about registration. You won't hit this until after you've met with Mark, done your advising. So we'll get to that closer to the end of the summer. And finally, we have our Q&A. This is just for if you have any questions left over at the end of the modules, you can post them here. Jenny and I will go in and answer, and hopefully you'll have everything answered. So
I guess I would also add that in theory, everyone who's been admitted has been registered for this Canvas site. As a result, you could actually set up discussions amongst yourselves. So you can actually start, basically posting discussions and having threaded discussion amongst yourselves as, where are people staying? What types of residential accommodations are they pursuing? When are people arriving? Where are they coming from? What kind of industries? What kind of job opportunities are you seeing? Things like that. So feel free to do that. All the folks are located here. So I think we've pretty much got this up to date. So this is virtually everyone you need to know as the incoming class, as well as the staff. So the staff are on here as well. So you'll see Jenny is here. Lisa Myers is also on our staff. So you'll be able to access the staff and each other through those links. This Canvas site is typical of the Canvas sites you will see in the future from your classes. So this is not that much different, perhaps, than what you will be seeing in the weeks and months ahead. Okay, with that, let me continue with the presentation. So I've gone through suggestions. I do also suggest that you seriously set up a time with me in the month of August, and that for the purpose of basically going through your curriculum and your plan for your classes for the fall, as well as the entire school year, because this is probably the one time that we get to sit down in earnest and focus on what your plans are for graduating, as well as what type of concentration you might want to get, what types of courses you want to take, and in what sequence. All right, we've talked about rankings in the past. As you know, IEMS and Northwestern, IEMS in particular, is ranked number 4 in the country in graduate IE programs. In terms of outcomes, a lot of students have asked me about outcomes. Of the 32 grads from 2021, I believe they all had jobs within a month of graduation. At the time of graduation, 28 of 32 were gainfully employed. These are the types of titles that we saw and the types of companies. You see several Amazon, some Tesla. I just talked to a student yesterday who got an offer from Amazon and actually is turning it down because she's found a better job elsewhere. So we're seeing a lot of great placements, a lot of great opportunities. We can't make any guarantees for next year because frankly, the job market is well outside of the control of MEM. However, I can say with your hard work, with your hard studies and your networking, you should be able to open a lot of doors for yourself here in the States. Teaching mode. We intend to be on ground with all classes, but we will have some online options as we go through the year. Those are in particular for those students who can't make it to class, in particular, part-time students who've taken an assignment elsewhere, or students who, for whatever reason, are just not able to attend class in person. We will have teachers and students in classrooms, so when we are online, it's only really a hybrid fashion, so it'll be a supplement to the on-ground. Zoom is still used to connect to online students when needed. So in general, our teaching mode for fall is fundamentally on the ground with some hybrid options. One of the first questions when you meet with me in August will be, are you interested in the 9-month or the 15-month option? And 9 months is really for those who are looking for cost effectivity, time effectivity, not interested in an internship, maybe going straight to full-time employment, or perhaps returning to your home country for whatever reason at the end of the program. The 15-month option is really for those who are looking for an internship, those who are looking to get some sort of permanent placement in the US, want to take maybe additional classes. Yes, you can take additional classes beyond the 12. Talk to me during our session in August. I can tell you how international students can do that in particular, given the visa constraints. And I've also seen students who do more than one internship, including internships during the school year, which is possible starting in, say, December of 20 but that's only part-time, and then the full-time internships in the summer, that would be, say, June of 23. There's campus research, other opportunities such as clubs, seminars, and others that we can talk about. We will talk about in a few moments. The tuition is what you see here. It's gone up slightly since last year. We do pay TAs and graders, and there's an opportunity for you to work in that realm, both within Kellogg, Farley Center, MEM, and other OPE programs. And working with companies on projects often leads to tuition stipends on the order of maybe $1 to $2K per quarter. So if you happen to be working on some of those projects, you might see some stipends from that. Lastly, there's fellowships, and I know ISON has a really nice competitive fellowship that our students actually won this last year. So you can certainly talk to some of those who participated in that, but ISON's fellowship includes a project on the ground with a local company. It includes a stipend. It includes some class time. So I think those fellowships are pretty interesting and valuable. In terms of the course catalog, and then this is something that's already posted on the Northwestern MEM website. So we don't need to necessarily send this out to you, because being on the site, any changes will be updated directly to that site. So you can always keep an eye on that. The fall quarter, most of you will be taking 402, which is our gateway course to engineering management. We're looking this year at 2 sections, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. One of those sections might actually have a linkage to a school in Mexico called Tec de Monterrey, where we're hoping to collaborate with them in the delivery of that class, and maybe even have some collaboration with them on the teams that are formed for 402. The other core classes, 405 and 407, are certainly open to MEM students. Not everybody will take both. I would think 407 would be those who are analytically focused and want to get an early start. 405 probably is just out of schedule and calendar kind of compatibility. Analytics folks would want to take 412, which is our operations excellence class. We have business process 416 with Professor Mejia for those who are into project and process management. 420 for those who are interested in product management, along with the product management class now called 430 with Professor Burju Shah. Beyond that, we have a BC class called 490 that's also being offered. So we also are offering a technology strategy class that's not listed here, that'll be offered by me. We're not sure exactly what night, but it's for those who want an option against the 437 class. So 437, we really encourage you to take your final quarter. So either take that in the spring of 23 or in the fall of 23. So the 437 you're seeing for this fall is really for last year's batch. So lots to talk about here. This is really the purpose of our meeting in August, that one-on-one that I mentioned earlier that I'm hoping you'll set up with me. In terms of career data, you can see starting salaries and average salaries for internships, as well as full-time, as well as the types of companies that have hired from us in the past. And it's funny, I don't see Amazon here, but obviously Amazon, Tesla, and others have hired from us in the past as well. Part-time salary data, you can see that those who enter the program with an average of 94K typically exit at about 124K. So there's a significant growth, almost 30% growth in salary while in the program. So professionalism, this is part of the deliverables from the modules that Jenny went through, but basic professionalism includes such things as showing up on time, focusing on the person in front of you, giving people proper notice for requests, only signing up for courses you intend to complete, as well as how you deal with employers, right? Being honest and forthright with employers. We have an honor code, and we do want you, and we do take that quite seriously. And there are processes for violation of the honor code, violation of professionalism, as well as issues with academic integrity. And those processes are in place above my pay grade. They're actually administered out of the dean's office. So there are some contacts here that you should definitely get to know. I'll be referring to them quite often. OISS is the International Student Office. They have an email address here. They'll handle I-20s and visas, your OPT and CPT. student finance for anything regarding your bills and payments and tuition. Those are the email addresses there and the phone number. I would add to this list perhaps ECD, Engineering Career Development, for those who are interested in internships and jobs. We'll be having ECD representatives at orientation in September that you'll be able to interact with, one-on-one. All right, some additional ways to make money. I think we covered most of this, but making money during the school year. Internships can start in December. So the constraints are, if you're on an F1, you can start CPT after you've completed the first quarter successfully with good grades. The internship's related to your job, and that it's limited to less than 20 hours per week. Starting in the summer, you can ramp that up to 40 hours a week, but the other restraints do apply. So they still have to be applicable to your job, and you have to be in academic good standing, right? There are TA and grader on-campus jobs, such as working at Starbucks and places like that, fellowships that I mentioned earlier, and funded projects. I mentioned before the analytics courses. These are things you can take, courses you can take on DataCamp. DataCamp's online, asynchronous, free of charge to all MEM students. We will be publishing credentials for that in the weeks to come. Everything from SQL to R to Python to Tableau. We've got 407 and 415 courses. We have probability and statistics over the summer, and you can see what we recommend and what we consider required for each of the different concentrations. So if you're in managerial analytics or healthcare systems, please pay attention to this slide and do your due diligence by taking those DataCamp classes, right? So beyond earning money and beyond classes, there's a whole lot of other things you can do that are beyond the classroom, whether it's MEM Student Advisory Board. These folks do and schedule and plan out a lot of the social events and activities and extracurriculars, including such things as Certified Scrum Product Owner, CSPO, which is a training session that's held over a long weekend. We also have connections to PDMA, Product Development Management Association, really focused on product management jobs and professionalism, PMI for project managers, and COSI for systems engineers, et cetera. So a long list of activities, some of which are directly managed by MEM, many of which are managed within the School of McCormick, the McCormick School of Engineering. So the Center for Deep Learning, if you're into analytics and you want to make some money and you want to work hands-on with some new products being developed in the machine learning space, CDL might be the place for you. Other than that, I mean, there's just, the list actually is probably longer than this. This is just simply what we could fit on the slide. Other connections, right, or other benefits, frankly, the access to the library, where if you really take advantage of it, you'll realize that alone is worth probably 6 figures in value. All those paywalls that you run into in the internet are largely removed. So even basic things like a Wall Street Journal access, New York Times access, are things that you will get access to as students free of charge, right? As long as you're a student with an active net ID. Conferences, computer laboratories, technology incubators, Garage, which is a campus incubator, engineering, career development, and ECD, as well as NCA. These are all great career tools for you and resources to help you progress your career. In terms of historical enrollments, we're looking at about 40 students coming in the fall. It might be a little bit more, it depends on yield and melt, but we're looking somewhere between 40 and 45. Largely full-time, but we have a good handful of part-time students that are very enthusiastic and ready to get going. The admit rate right now, we're looking at about the same as Kellogg, maybe a little bit better, somewhere around 20, maybe 21% admit rate, which is very close to the Kellogg admit rate. Our overall enrollment across all professional programs is hitting close to 350 students, as well as the fact that some of our students can't make it this year for whatever reason. Might be financial, might be personal. And we do allow deferrals. So you can defer your enrollment if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the ability to start in the fall. You can take a 12-month deferral and push everything into the fall of 23. We can do that once with a single tuition deposit that does carry forward. Student deposits are still not refundable, and a second deferral will probably require a resubmission of your application. So that's not something we normally do. In terms of Evanston, you can basically please study the map and understand where the campus is. We're located in the Tech Institute, which is on the north side of campus. You'll see that there's a bus that goes up and down Sheridan Road and goes up and down Chicago Avenue. So if you're looking for housing, just keep in mind we're on the north end of campus, right on Sheridan Road, in the Tech Institute and in the north parking garage. So if you're planning to walk to class, that's where you should be looking at your housing. We've got some great spaces. We'll be taking a tour of those during our orientation. In orientation, you'll see the Krebs classroom, which holds about 50 students. This was purpose-built for the professional master's programs, executive ed style classroom. So it's not a traditional lecture hall like you might have seen in undergrad. This is basically, we got full audio visual capabilities, Zoom compatibility, streaming capabilities, et cetera. So, and you'll also see such areas as the Sealy Mud Library, the garage in the north parking garage. The garage is actually a incubator for students. We also have some great athletic facilities nearby, and we've got some juice bars and things like that. So you'll be well taken care of. And for part-time students, parking is in the north garage, literally right above the classroom. So you take a nice clean elevator ride downstairs, you take your classes, you're done, you go up to your car and you're on your way home. We got a lot of alumni references. We will post this on Canvas for you guys, so you don't have to jot all these down. These are alum of the program that are more than happy to answer your questions, to meet with you, and to maybe point you in the right direction. We've got folks here from all over the world. Patricio is from Mexico. He's a director at Union Pacific here. Vignesh came from India, but he's now working at US DOE labs in Boulder, Colorado. We've got some folks from Minu, basically Caterpillar here in Deerfield. So we've got some great alum here. This is just a small subsample. Some of these were part-time. Kate was a part-time student. Many of these are full-time students in different areas of the country right now. So with that, I guess I'm ready to answer any questions you might have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just turn it over to you guys to say, okay, what's on your mind? What didn't we cover?
There is a question in the chat. I don't know if Prakar wants to speak up, but basically they said, Mark, if you could kind of shed some light on the recession and the tight job market in the coming future, and maybe share some of your thoughts on that.
The tight job market. Wow. Right now, the job market seems to be quite out of control, meaning that there's a lot of demand and not enough supply in almost all industries. I think some industries in the last, say, 14 days, maybe 28 days, have started to show evidence of slowdown and even layoffs. So, for example, Twitter and companies like Uber and companies like, you name it. Mostly the high-tech West Coast firms, startups are starting to see a little bit of weakness. Transportation is starting to see a little bit of weakness. I can't predict where we're going to be 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months from now. I can't say these things go in cycles. And I can't say that there's a bias that we have towards the hard tech industries. So for example, Caterpillar and Ford and companies that work in automotive, we tend to point students in that direction because we tend to think that they're a little bit more stable than some of the high-flying West Coast firms. But other than that, I mean, right now as it sits, I mean, almost every student that I've talked to has had multiple offers. So much so that the new offer is confusing the old offers and often obsoleting them. Students are juggling 3, 4, and 5 different offers, some of them coming in as late as just this week for a start in June. So companies are moving fast, and companies are pretty demanding in terms of wanting you to start almost immediately. The question about how many credits, each course is 1 credit, you need 12 to graduate. Any other questions? I guess,
Hi.
Go ahead, Rizal. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Mark. So I have a question from Jenny. So I have applied for my CSA portal and paid the fees on 2nd of May. I'm still awaiting for OISS portal access. So when can I expect the access to that so that I submit the financial doc to obtain the I-20?
Hi, Rishabh.
Yes, sir. Hi, Mandy.
Okay, sorry. I can chime in for Jenny. So just to kind of explain a little bit, we actually have admissions folks that we work with. We're all on the operations side, but we are monitoring all the emails that are coming in, everything you're like the progress that you're in with enrollment. But we do kind of take over once you're fully enrolled. So it sounds like you mentioned an I-20 issue and then I missed some of the other things. What, can you repeat it?
Yes, so I have applied for, I have paid the tuition fee deposit for confirming the admission. And it was done on 2nd of May. But on CSA portal, it shows as the unapplied deposit. So I hope that's fine. It is unapplied right now.
I would send this question to MEM@northwestern.edu so that we can get it to the right folks. Just to kind of explain a little bit further too, and I wanted to share this with everyone, Mark did a little bit, but so with like tuition issues, that is not us. So like we'll tell you who to reach out to, but it's basically our student accounts office. With I-20 issues, anything with visa, that's our international office. Like there's a lot of different offices that need to help because we have so many international students. So that is not what our staff does. So it's best if you can like kind of put all your questions in and any of your concerns, email it to us and we will make sure it gets to the right people and then they will help you through that.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I'll put the email in the chat so you guys all have it. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much.
Mark, do you see there's several questions coming in the chat? Do you want me to read them to you or do you want to just, you got them? Okay, great.
Akil's asking about Macs versus Windows. As long as you can run perhaps a Windows emulator in your Mac, I mean, if you're comfortable with that, if your Mac can handle it, if you've got an old Mac that may not be able to support a Windows emulator and be efficient for you or be reliable enough to last the full year on campus, you might want to consider getting a Windows upgrade. But otherwise, a Mac with Windows emulator should be sufficient. I know some students that have done that. You can even ask around if they've had issues using Macs on campus. But generally, Macs, Windows, they all work well with the network. That's not the issue. The issue is certain specific software packages that are used in the class that is Windows native. Any other questions? In which month do we have to pay the tuitions for the first quarter? When is tuition due, Mandy?
I would pay it. Let me see. Sorry, I actually don't have that on hand. Let me see. Sorry. Give me a minute. Address another question. I need to look it up.
Can you just go to the registrar's website?
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to find it.
It says since you probably won't be registering till after August 10th, it wouldn't be due until October 1st.
Tuition.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Jenny.
Sure.
So the incoming fall class of 2022 looks like it's going to be between 40 and 45. The diversity of the batch, we're expecting probably closer to 30% female, but it hasn't been finalized yet. Beyond that, I guess I'd have to break it down further. We will publish that probably sometime in August when we have all the final decisions and deposits in hand, but we're looking at 40 to 45 incoming students. So it'll be a large class similar to this year with the bias towards full-time students, probably on the order of maybe 85% full-time, 15% part-time. Any other questions? So I do want to, go ahead.
Hi, Mark, this is Aditya. So yeah, can I ask one question? So if I'm not coming in between your discussion. So is there any official group, Slack group or any WhatsApp group of the current batch where we can all interact? Because we do have an unofficial group, but if you have any idea about an official Slack group, then it would be beneficial for all of us to interact and pose the question. But you have mentioned that we do have a discussion thing on the Canvas. We can also use that.
Right, you can use that amongst the incoming class. Now, if you want to connect with the previous incoming class, we would have to connect you up with some of those names. I don't know, is there a Slack group they should be joining, Mandy, or is there some kind of official group?
We decided against that. That's not something that we would monitor, or have time to monitor or moderate. But if you all want to start one yourselves, like that's usually what our student programs do, is basically like you probably know which, you know, channel you want to jump on. If it's WhatsApp or Slack, like we let you all do that like yourselves. You don't need staff to do that for you. So you could start one yourself, and then you could message everyone on Canvas and have them join if they want to. But that's what most programs do.
There's the chair of the Student Advisory Board is Asghar Ali. And Asghar, his email is in the chat if you want to contact him and reach out to him. He can tell you what the current batch is using in terms of communicating with each other, and maybe grant you guys some access to that as well. The process of scheduling an appointment, I will post a Calendly link on Canvas. You'll find that my favorite mode of communication with all the students is Canvas announcements. So keep an eye out for announcements. Definitely monitor the email that's attached to Canvas. If that's your Northwestern email, great. If you need to, forward it to your other normal email, if it's Gmail or whatever, but make sure that you're on top of that, because if you're not monitoring that carefully, what'll happen is either deliverables will be missed, dates will be missed, opportunities might be missed, and you don't want to lose any of those. So somebody's asking about the start date of the quarter, right? Let's see if we can get some official dates out there. And all of the dates, by the way, are in the registrar's website. So a lot of the questions you guys are asking, like when tuition is due, when's the deadline for dropping a class, when's the deadline for adding a class.
These are all on the Canvas page, the orientation Canvas page.
But they're
Pretty
also
much every question is on there. Yep.
Also on the registrar's site as well, right?
Mark, yeah, so some of these, I would really strongly suggest that you jump into the orientation Canvas page if you're not added yet, because we've been adding everyone in batches. Again, just email mem@northwestern.edu. We'll make sure to add you. But as Miriam showed you in all those modules, there's a ton of resources and information. If you have something specific that you're not seeing answered after you review everything, definitely email mem@northwestern.edu. But there's a good question in here, Mark, that's from Prakhar, which says, what are some of the things that we can start doing with product management roles?
In terms of what can you start doing, you can start networking, I guess, with professionals in the field. You can start by talking to alumni that are in product management roles and, you know, reaching out to them through LinkedIn. So if you join the LinkedIn group, you can start sending messages to those folks. Through Asghar, you can find out, for example, which students have already got product management roles, either for the summer or as a full-time job, and you can reach out to them as well. What I would do is, if you really get to know LinkedIn, right, or even the alumni database for Northwestern, right, do some systematic searches for the terms product management, Northwestern MEM, and see who's already in that intersection, and see what companies and industries you're interested in and reach out to those people. I believe the first day of classes is September 19th. I think for safety's sake, you should all plan to be on the ground by September 1st. Now, why do I say that? There's a lot of events, including MEM orientation, international student orientation, McCormick orientation and welcome events, right? As well as just things like getting your furniture and getting your, you know, housing and getting your food and just getting all settled in. If you wait till the last minute, you're going to wind up scrambling. I would say September 1st is a good time frame for being on the ground, if not a little bit sooner. But September 19th is the official first day of classes, which is a Monday. Are there other questions here?
Mark, I was actually a little bit concerned about the security thing. So recently some unfortunate event has happened in Texas. So is there any security perimeter around the Evanston campus where we can look for off-campus housing? So it will be better for all of us to look for some housing there within that region only.
I mean, there's certainly, if you know the campus at all, if you walk the campus, you'll see these blue buttons for security. So if you have an incident that needs police attention, you can push the button and police will be there within a few minutes. And those are situated, every few hundred yards on campus, as well as slightly off campus, a little bit to the west of Sheridan Road. In terms of security, I mean, we obviously have drills for, campus shooters and things like that. And we have lockdown procedures. So if there is an incident, you'd be informed through your cell phone that you should probably shelter in place. We've had a couple of those in the last few years, often because of incidents in the Chicago campus. But whether it's Chicago or Evanston campus, either one, those procedures would apply and you'd be probably advised to shelter in place. So wherever you are on campus, just stay there and stay out of the hallways and stay inside enclosed rooms whenever possible. So those procedures are already in place and those protocols are in place. Yeah, I'm well aware of what happened in Texas. It was a complete tragedy, but I don't know what else I can say. I mean, we do what we can for security. We've got campus police, we've got Evanston police, and on Chicago's campus, we have CPD, the Chicago Police Department. And we do have these emergency notification buttons all on campus, as well as security protocols through the cell phones, right? And I'm not so certain that off campus versus on campus is any safer. To be honest with you, an incident can happen in any building, I suppose, at any time. I would say though, on campus housing does have wildcard access control, right? What do I mean by that? To enter the front door, you're going to need a wildcard to get in, right? I can't say that a off-campus housing situation would have that same security, but wherever you go and wherever you rent, you can certainly ask the landlord these questions and see if you're satisfied with the level of security that is provided. I don't know, Mandy or Miriam?
Yeah, I just want to say that I lived in Chicago for a long time, and Jenny is a native Chicagoan, and I don't want to speak for her, but I actually feel very safe both off campus and on campus. I take the L. So part of the resources that thank you, Miriam, for putting in the modules talks about like transportation, things to do around Chicago, all of that. I take the L into work every day. I feel very safe. And then certainly on campus, yeah, have never once felt at risk or unsafe. So
the L, for those who don't know, is the elevated electric train that shuttles both students, faculty, and I mean, just it's general CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. So there's thousands of people taking it every day. The purple line literally goes parallel to Sheridan Road. The closest stop might be the Noise stop. But there's one at Davis that's much larger. And from there, you can take buses and even diesel trains. We have a diesel train that connects into the city. That's called Metra. So between Metra and CTA, the Northwestern buses and the CTA buses, I can count at least 4 or 5 ways to commute between Chicago and Evanston. And Chicago can be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes away, depending on how you get there.
I also take the L every day. I can just say that just like any other big city, just have your self-awareness, be aware of your surroundings. It's going to be the same here as it will if you're really anywhere else, just the same level of precautions that you would take. But it is overall, as long as you're being aware of your surroundings, very safe. So
I would recommend.
I actually live in Evanston. So I am just right around campus. If I wasn't lazy, I could walk to work every day. And it's very safe in Evanston. I've had no troubles.
Yeah, I mean, obviously be cautious late at night, be aware of your surroundings and be careful maybe after 10 or 11 p.m. But during the day, I mean, I don't think we've had too many incidents or concerns. Students ride their bikes, they walk, they take the L, they take the buses, all without incidents. So, I mean, I'm I'm fully aware of what happened in Texas. These are horrible situations. They do happen on occasion in the United States. The United States has, 350 million people spread across dozens of cities. And I don't know what else I can tell you except, yeah, I'm a native Chicagoan, and I can barely even say that I've witnessed crime, let alone been a victim of it. So there might have been one crime I witnessed, but I'm getting pretty old. September 16th is orientation. I do want to make sure everyone is aware of that. So with all your schedules and all your calendars and all your planning, which I'm sure you're going to.
Sorry, Mark, wait, can I jump in?
Yeah.
It's going to happen the week of September 12th through the 16th.
Okay.
So one thing that this doesn't affect any of you all students. We will always have a classroom available for every class that we host. But it is tricky sometimes working out which classroom that we can book for orientations. One exciting thing, sorry to interrupt you too, Mark, but we do recommend that you get to Evanston by early September. We're going to have a ton of events that we're going to do that are super fun. We typically do like a riverboat cruise. We'll do like a tailgate baseball game, so we have several things that we like to do around like mid-September. And then the orientation will take place one of the days. It'll be an all-day thing. We will provide a ton of information. You'll get your headshots taken, all of that. So it'll be, the 12th through the 16th, one of those days. And it will be in the classroom that you'll have most of your classes in. So you'll get accustomed to that. But we're still working out the schedule. So to Mark's point, if you don't get here by the 12th, we strongly suggest you do. We'll work with you if you're having any like visa issues. That's something we've worked with our students on in the past. So, but keep the 12th in your brain to get there at least by then.
Any other questions?
Mark, yeah, I have one. So I was particularly looking at marketing courses within the curriculum, and I could see only one. So I wanted to understand whether other marketing courses on campus are open to MEM students, let's say in Kellogg or somewhere else.
Certainly, Kellogg does offer classes, and we often get access to those classes. You'll find out about them on a quarter-by-quarter basis, typically a few weeks before the quarter starts. There's limited seats at Kellogg. We have a marketing course called Marketing for Engineers, which is part of the core curriculum. We have a course called Marketing Analytics, which is a 490 class that's also offered to students. We have two product management courses. One that's more generic in nature, that's high tech. The other one is a little bit focused on digital transformation that's relatively new, that'll be offered in the winter quarter. So I count more like 4 or 5 classes in the area of product management and marketing, right? Now recognize the MEM degree is not a marketing degree. And if you're interested in a marketing degree, I think you might want to consider something like Kellogg. But we have at least 4 offerings, which is probably more than double than we've ever had before. Also, as part of marketing, I think you'll all find that negotiations is a very useful skill and tool, whether it's marketing, product management, project management. Anytime you're negotiating within an organization, right, you're going to need to understand and have those skills. Some students overlook that class because they're so focused on other classes and courses, but I definitely recommend negotiations for virtually everyone who's going to be dealing with multiple departments and multiple entities in their career, especially outside entities, suppliers, customers, you name it, right? So negotiations is also part of that. In fact, the whole product management concentration is our equivalent of a marketing concentration. So any course in there could be considered marketing oriented.
There's a question, I'm happy to take this too, about scheduling of the classes. So that is a great question. I'll put in the chat too in a second, the link to our course catalog. It's also on the orientation Canvas site, so you can check it out. But it's a great webpage because it shows you everything locked in for fall 2022, which has been scheduled. And then it kind of shows you a snapshot of like what we would offer for winter and spring coming up. That is subject to change because we're still working those out. But typically most of our classes are going to be at night, 6:30 to 9:30. And then we do offer a few options on Friday mornings and Saturday mornings. We really try to make it easy for those who want to work full time, and also just being able to get to campus. So typically weeknights, and then Friday and Saturday mornings, 9 to 12. So
also the full-time students will find that their days are largely opened up for either working or doing
Right.
projects or doing their homework or doing interviews. And
that's right.
that really comes in quite handy to have your day largely available for those activities, including seminars and workshops and sitting in on other classes like as an audit, or maybe checking out the library and using those resources. So it's really, I think it's good to have your days largely open for full-time students and then classes at night. And we have bus service that literally runs until 10 p.m. So you can take an intercampus shuttle or the Evanston shuttles up until, in some cases, around the clock, but up until 10 is a minimum.
One quick question about the shuttles. So what about winter? So I have heard like they are not that frequent during the winter time. So if someone is living a little bit far, let's say 1 mile from the campus, will it be very difficult to walk to the campus, or it's like, okay, because we are not accustomed to that much climate, so just want to hear your perspective about that.
So in terms of transportation, you'll find that we have a bus service that in some cases is running around the clock. In the wintertime, in severe weather, they'll be running additional shuttle buses, sometimes known as the Frostbite Express. And we also have a car service that's available to students free of charge. So it's called Safe Ride. So it's an on-demand, you can think of it as an on-demand Uber at no cost to students. And it'll get you within I think it's a 1 or 2 mile radius of the campus. Does that help?
Yeah, that will definitely help.
And on top of all of that, we have the CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority. The 201 bus literally stops in front of the tech building. I don't want to say around the clock, but certainly through most normal operating hours, through 10 or 11 p.m. minimum. And that bus will take you to downtown Evanston. It'll take you to the Howard Street L. It'll take you to the north side of Central Street, Evanston. So 201 bus is virtually door to door. And then if you want to walk a block or two to the L, the way Mandy does, I mean, the whole city is available to you if you're willing to just write it out.
I should also note that part of your activity fee for every quarter covers a U-Pass, which gives you free access to all of the trains and buses through CTA. So you have unlimited access to all of that.
So I guess I'm seeing questions about product management course, right? So product management is 430. We also have the product management for digital transformation 490. We have 420, which is organizing for innovation, which isn't really product management. It's how do you organize to innovate, right? And then the traditional marketing class is specifically our 405 class. So that's the core class. I mean, the only core class really for marketing is 405. Everything else is an elective or an AEM, Advanced Engineering Method course. But course selection, it's not so much first come, first serve. We're going to prioritize folks who need to graduate. We're going to certainly try to accommodate EM majors, the folks that are on this call. EM minors, which are students from other programs that take some of our classes, they come in as perhaps a second priority. Third priority will be folks from other programs who just want to take our class as an elective or find it interesting. So we're going to, that's really the prioritized list. But, frankly, if you're ready to graduate and you need 437, we'll get you that seat before somebody who's not ready to graduate who wants 437. So
I'll add in too. So Jenny here is she handles our registration for all of you guys. So, but when you start to, talk with all of us about the course planning for fall, We'll dig into it a little bit more, but generally we want to steer you towards like front loading the core requirements at the beginning. So like you're starting in fall. So like we strongly recommend that you get, like if you're a full-time student, let's say if you want to take 3 classes, 2 of those should be core requirements. The third can be an elective or, you know, kind of helping. If you want to do a concentration, it can go towards the concentration. If you're going to take 4 courses, again, 3 should be core requirements. That way, as you get towards the end of your program, you can kind of fill in more electives and have a little fun, but you want to knock out those core requirements first. But like Mark said, I mean, Jenny works really hard and works with our campus partners to get you seats in the electives that you want. So she works really hard. It's not always a full guarantee if it's a really popular class, but by and large, we can get you into pretty much all the classes you want to get in.
Many of our courses, especially the core courses, are offered more than once a year. So just recognize if you don't get the fall offering of 405, maybe you'll get the winter. If you don't get the fall offering of 407, maybe you'll get the spring. We do hope that you'll have a little bit of flexibility, recognize that you may not always get your first choice, but we work hard to get you at least your first or second choice.
Mark, one last question, and then I think we're at time. We'll wrap it up. I think this is a good question. Why do we have so many courses with the code MEM 490, like marketing analytics, technology strategy, and the venture capital class?
Well, honestly, the way the registration system works and the way new courses are developed, they're given a nomenclature of 490 as a new class until they've been offered for 3 or 4 years in a row, in which case we promote that to a permanent course in our catalog. So that we just recently did that with product management, which became 430. If you took product management last year, you would not have seen it as a 430, you would have seen it as a 490. So what the 490s tell you is we've got a lot of new courses that we're developing and basically to address the needs of the market and the needs of the students and what we're seeing as new skill sets that need to be developed. So some of them are, going to become permanent courses and some of them are not. And we will see over a period of probably 3 to 4 years how they play out.
Great. Thanks, Mark. I think
students have an opportunity to do a minor. I think, yes, you do. There's an entrepreneurship minor offered out of the Farley Center. Are there other minors that I'm unaware of?
No, it's, typically what I found is, the Farley Center is the one that comes to mind that would probably be the most applicable to an MEM student. But usually what most of our students will do is they will pick a concentration. And I did put the link in the chat. So it's really just, kind of like routing your electives and even the core requirements towards either like a product management concentration. Healthcare systems is one of our newest ones, or a marketing concentration. So that's typically what the students will do.
I'm told that there might be something like a synthetic biology certificate or synthetic biology minor coming up. So I can check into that, but it's at least so far it hasn't come to fruition, but I'm thinking it'll be there for next year. Synthetic biology, unless you have that kind of background, probably won't make too much sense to most of the students here, but we're seeing a lot of startups in that space. In terms of startups and entrepreneurship, we haven't talked much about it, but the Farley Center does offer a lot of great courses. We basically accept virtually every grad level course that they offer, not necessarily as part of the core, but maybe as one of your electives. I would say, look at them carefully. Don't overdo it because you can take too many nuventions and there's a lot of overlap between them. So pick the one that you think is the most applicable and go for it. There's also incubators on campus that you can work in and work with, both for grad and undergrad, and now a new one for wet lab based incubator on Maple Street that's run by Invo. So Invo, if you're interested in invention management, they also have a certificate program out of Invo, INVO. So this is partly why I want to sit with each of you individually to understand where you want your careers to go, because I can at least help you map your interests to what Northwestern in its totality, and I'm talking about totality here, including Chicago campus, right? What Northwestern has to offer, what Chicago has to offer, right? To meet your needs as a student. So, and from there you can plan out fall, winter, spring, summer, and the following fall if you choose to stay with us that long.
I just want to end on one thing too, because we know that the majority are probably here and coming in are full-time students and you're looking for jobs. So we're planning on part of our orientation. It'll probably be a little separate if you want to join. We're going to focus on career resources so that you know exactly like who to go to, who to ask for advice, other than Mark and our staff here, so that you're set up for success. So we'll make sure you're fully covered. Yeah.
Okay, hopefully this met your needs and expectations. We're after 10:30 now, so I think it's a good time to wind it down.
Agreed.
This recording will be posted on Canvas, so you'll be able to access it if you missed part of it, or if you want to watch it again. Also, for anyone who missed it totally, we'll have it posted for them as well. So we don't plan on repeating this, but we will have that one-on-one session in August, and we'll be posting links for scheduling that on Canvas, probably in the month of July, for meetings in August. So with that, I want to wish you all a good day or good evening, and thank you for attending.
Thank you all.
Thank you to the staff, Miriam, and Jenny, and Mandy. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.